I'll tell you what, man. Week 4, Steelers get a dub in Dublin heading into the bye, and today our Chicago Cubs get their first
Oh,
win, postseason win in Wrigley since 2017. This can't be better. This was a great 3-day stretch, and
I'll
your
take.
Chicago Bears pulled out a
Hey,
victory.
don't forget about the Bears getting to 2-2. Watching that Cubs game here just before we came on, it felt so good to get a win. I
Oh,
I
yeah.
I was
Relief.
I was just like, I texted my brother. I was like, "We're winners, dude. Like, don't anyone else tell you. Like today, we're winners."
They were winners.
And
Yeah.
that is a good feeling because you don't get to win much when you're a Chicago sports fan. Okay, you don't. It has been a long time since since the Blackhawks. Well, and then the Cubs in 16 to be like, hey, we're winners. Like we
Yeah,
are
really, since
winners.
2018, the Cubs haven't been good. They went to the playoffs in
No,
2020, but that was the shortened season. So
yeah,
it's been about 7 years since they've been legitimate contenders. The Blackhawks, yeah, it's been a decade since they've been legitimate contenders.
yeah. The
Um,
Bears double doink
the Bulls
2018.
since '08, 2011, really
Yeah.
can't get out of their own way. Yeah, it's been a train wreck, so it's nice to get
Feels
that
like
one.
winners. I'm excited for that we get to kind of get early into Steelers Vikings. That was a great game.
Yeah,
Dan, you and I also, our teams have avoided, knock on all the wood, the big injuries, a lot of injuries again this week. It felt like the quarterbacks 2 weeks ago. Feels like, star
our
wide
players this
receivers,
week.
some
Yeah.
star players this week. We'll get into all of that, a ton of action. Thankfully, the bye weeks have begun. So next week, so we have less games, and
Yeah.
we're not.
A little
I
bit
was
of a
going through
shortened.
making notes on all these games. I'm like, God, how many more games are there? We're heading now. The real football starts. Bye weeks, ties, chaos in the NFL.
Yeah, no question. We'll dive into all of that coming up next.
Jaxson Dart makes the graphic. I
Hey man,
like
yeah,
it.
first NFL victory against
The
the
kid.
vaunted Los Angeles Chargers. Come on now, we got to get him in there.
All
Absolutely.
right, I like it. I like it.
We'll start with the Seattle Seahawks Thursday Night Football 23-20 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Once again, just not enough doing for Arizona in this one. Kyler Murray looked good at times and poor at others. Some bad interceptions in this game. And really the story of it was the efficiency of the Seahawks offense. The defense didn't perform probably as good as they had been the first parts of the season, but 2 interceptions, you're not going to scoff at that at all. And so the Seahawks improved to 3-1. The Arizona Cardinals fall to 2-2. And Sam Darnold, a mistake-free day of football for him. So all around, pretty good day for that Seattle team, even though it was much closer than they probably would have liked, Mark, in this one.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway, if I'm a Seahawks fan, is the ending score of 23-20 is not indicative of this game. I mean, it was 20-6, with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were in control. The Cardinals made 2 late drives and rallies after it felt like the game was pretty in hand for Seattle. Now, you don't love, if you're Seattle, to give up those late drives, right? You don't love to let the Cardinals back in, that's for sure. But Kyler Murray, up until those 2 drives, was struggling. Kyler Murray was also their leading rusher with only 41 yards. Kyler Murray also was sacked 6 times. Leonard Williams had a sack and a half in this game. Like, offensively, it just felt like they were in a malaise for 3 quarters of that game and the start of the fourth quarter. Yeah, if you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. in box score, he goes 6 for 66 and a touchdown. All right. But he was bad in the first half, and there was just no connection between Kyler and Marvin in the first half. Offensively, they've got to kind of figure it out, because if you're only giving up 20 points to a division rival on the road in the fourth quarter, you're in a pretty good spot overall. It's not like the defense lost them this game. Offensively, couldn't get things going, but credit to Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba Walker. They all played really, really well. He got 8 different guys involved in the offense catching the ball. Darnold did. I thought it was a really clean win for Seattle. Seattle's starting to creep up my power rankings and really one of those teams that feels like they still have a little bit to prove, but right now are a really well-rounded football team playing good football.
No, they are, and their defense is fairly stout. It's even better than I anticipated it being, despite McDonald being a really good defensive-minded head coach. So that part's been great, and Sam Darnold's just playing good football right now. He's playing sound
Yeah.
football, and he's not turning the ball over a whole lot, and that's going to win you football games when you can marry those two together. So, I mean, you called it before the season. You said it's a sneaky good team. It's a solid roster. I wasn't sold on the Sam Darnold momentum train continuing to chug along. But so far through the first quarter of the season, it has. And the Seattle Seahawks, find themselves in a really good position there, especially now with the 49ers losing this week. Seattle right up there in the standings. So this is going to be a really competitive division throughout. We talked about it before our predictions this offseason that this may be the best division in football. And so far, through 4 weeks, it's been living up to that billing, no doubt. But yeah, to your point about the Cardinals, obviously Kyler Murray, that's the thing that's got to get figured out. I'm not so confident that it will at this point. I mean, we've got such a large sample size, but even more so is that injury to James Conner is really devastating them from a run game perspective.
Yeah.
They're just not able to lean on him anymore either. And he was such a big component of what they did. So, yeah, they're only at 2-2. They've got opportunities here to turn it around and quickly, but they're going to have to do so, no question. All right, let's head over to Dublin, Mark. The first game in Ireland, Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously with a storied Irish history there, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who were 4-0 in international games coming into this one. Kevin O'Connell having success there as well. And the Vikings having that history against Aaron Rodgers, not just when he was in Green Bay, but last year in an international game, picking him off 3 times. It didn't happen this week, Mark. I will say I thought the Steelers played their most well-rounded, complete game of football that I've probably seen in some time. The only thing that gives me pause is we had that one game last year where Russell came in and they threw for, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and we felt like, oh man, this offense has arrived. And that was kind of the peak. It happened for 1 week and then it tapered off. So I need to see this consistency for a couple more weeks. They got the bye next week, so we'll have to wait a little bit for it. But
yeah, we're both on a bye. It's a weird week 5 is a weird one for the football lounge.
It is. Yeah, both Bears and Steelers on a bye, but it comes at a good time for Pittsburgh. They are a little bit banged up. Jalen Ramsey left this game with an injury, so they've been decimated in the defensive backfield. But I will say, it was a complete game. They ran the ball very well. It was the most encouraging signs I've seen of the offensive line since they were formed at the beginning of last year. And so that's obviously great to see. They did it without Jaylen Warren, who was inactive just before the game. So Kenneth Gainwell
played great.
Running the football. And Aaron Rodgers just did what he needed to do. He played point guard spectacularly. He was making checks at the line. He was getting the ball out lightning fast. I think it was 2.2 seconds when the game was over, the average time to release. Obviously, we saw it on the DK Metcalf, yak touchdown, 80 yards to the house. So they got all their big playmakers involved. Aaron was really good. The defense did what they needed to do. They got after Carson Wentz for 6 sacks. It was really, really good. Unfortunately, I felt that this game really could have been a much bigger statement. They came away with a dub, never going to complain, but they could have walked out of this game with a 31-16, 17 win or something like that. Instead, and I got to say, I give Tomlin a ton of credit for getting the team prepared for this game. They had a great game plan. They executed it very well. So he deserves a ton of credit for that. So did the coordinators. Arthur Smith called a great game. But at the end of the day, these are the same things that rear its ugly head with Tomlin that frustrates me as a football fan. And that is the constant quotes about not living your fears, but then punting when you're up 10 and you're at midfield and 4th and 1, and you're going to take the delay of game so you can punt it. Not only do you take the delay of game to punt and pin hopefully pin the team, you punted straight out of the end zone. It wasn't even like, oh, we tried to get it there and it bounced. It was clear out of the end zone. So they gained 19 yards on that play. It's mind-boggling. Of course, then what happened right after was the Jordan Addison 80-yard run where thankfully they were able to stop him short, but and burn some time off the clock. If they didn't stop him short and burn time off the clock, Mark, they very well may have lost this game. And the big thing I think overall is that they would have lost this game if this was a playoff game, because you're playing playoff opponents. And that's what frustrates me about the decision, because I do believe Tomlin would have done the same thing in a playoff game. I may be wrong, but that's just the vibe I get from knowing and watching these Pittsburgh Steelers games all the time. So punting in that situation is brutal. He caved to Aaron Rodgers, demanding to go for it on 4th and goal. The previous possession, I thought that was the right call. He was going to kick the field goal. He caved, and then they chose to run it from 5 yards out. So just mind-boggling decisions and key moments. That was frustrating, but I'll take the win. Really good victory. That was a great defense by the Minnesota Vikings. And so I thought the Steelers' offense was really encouraging.
Yeah, everything you just said comes after the fact that Pittsburgh was up 24-6 with 9:40 left in the fourth. So you're spot on, right? Like Pittsburgh was
opportunity to put your foot on their throat, and they don't do it.
Pittsburgh was in control of this game. They made Carson Wentz throw the ball 46 times. He did have 350 yards, but 2 really ugly interceptions, classic Carson Wentz interceptions. You also have a lot of then for Carson Wentz kind of garbage time yards there in the fourth quarter, getting the team back in there, obviously with the huge play to Addison. It was good to see Addison back. Kind of forgot that he came back for week 4. Certainly that offense, the Vikings offense, way more potent with him. 4 catches for 114 yards for Addison, his return. Justin Jefferson, Wentz got him involved, 10 catches, 126 yards and a touchdown. But again,
look, if you would have told me Wentz threw for 350 yards and Justin Jefferson had 10 catches for 126, I would have said, so the Steelers lost this game. Easy.
Yeah, exactly right. I think what you said about Rodgers was perfect. Aggressive early and then really settled in as the point guard. Kenneth Gainwell was the featured player. He was fantastic. 199 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches for 35 yards. But it goes to the fact that if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm hoping that Aaron Rodgers is having meetings now with Arthur Smith, and they can get on the same page then with Mike Tomlin to go, look at, we're up 24-6. We cannot win a Super Bowl. We cannot get to an AFC championship game against the Buffalo Bills, against the Kansas City Chiefs. If we are not aggressive and have a real game plan for what is our identity if and when we get up 24-6 late in the fourth, because this looked like a classic Steelers are going to squander this game because of Mike Tomlin's, we don't do what the analytics say we should do. We trust, our field goal unit and we trust our punting unit. So I'm with you, Dan. There's room for frustration within otherwise a good win to get to 3-1. For the Vikings, listen, I don't want to say, oh, well, you're floating, you're trying to just, this is not the Bengals, right? Where their quarterback's lost for probably the whole season. You hope to get your guy back, but your guy is not a savior, right? Your guy is not getting Joe Burrow back here in 2 weeks, in a week, maybe he's playing next week. Your guy is a dude who, to this point in time in his career, is a roller coaster, and we've only seen him in 3 games, 2.5 games, whatever it might be. So it's a weird feeling for Vikings fans because, again, you see all this talent and you see the potential, but you don't know what you're turning the keys back over to. It might be that Carson Wentz is your best chance right now, if you're a Vikings fan, to win football games, even though the back-breaking interceptions at times is just classic Wentz. That INT in the middle of the second, it was just horrific. It's like, I get it if it's Tua or if it's Bryce Young, like, well, they're small, they didn't see him, and they got to be like, hey, that's on me. I got to roll out. I got to know where the linebackers are. He's a big, tall, strong guy staring down people in the middle of the field. It's just what Wentz has done his whole career.
Yeah. And I appreciate you pointing out the sequence too, because I did get the sequencing wrong. They punted after they were up 24-21 at that point, but they were at midfield, chance to put the game away, and that's when they decided to punt it. I would have understood it a little bit more if the Vikings needed to get a touchdown, make them drive 90
the
yards.
whole field.
Yeah, but they still kicked it for a touchback either way, so I don't know what the call was there,
cool.
if it was just a mistake. But regardless, yeah, it was a cowardly call in my view at that point.
3-1 though, got to be feeling good with the Ravens 1-3, right?
Absolutely. No, the Steelers are in a good position. Now, we got to remember, last year, they were leading the division for a really good portion of the season, and then they had that epic collapse late, right? So the takeaway is you got to keep it going.
Stack wins.
Use this bye, get healthy. Alex Highsmith back. Joey Porter Jr. hasn't played for a few games. Get him back. Jalen Ramsey healthy. Jalen Warren healthy. Start to get these guys back. And come out of that bye with 2 division games, Bengals, Browns. Got to get victories there. Go to 5-1. Then you're feeling really good because, yeah, they have an opportunity here with the injury to Joe Burrow and obviously the rough start by the Ravens. You got to strike while the kettle's hot. The Falcons get themselves a victory over the Washington Commanders, relatively high-scoring affair, given the 2 teams in this one without Jaden Daniels. For Washington, 34-27 is the final here. Bijan Robinson played amazing. He was all over the stat sheet. Finally, the Penix to Drake London connection started to get going a little bit. They made an emphasis to get him the ball, and that was a smart decision. But Penix looked about as good, probably as good, I think, that as we've seen him in an NFL game to this point. He did throw an interception, but 20 of 26 was efficient, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they ran the ball effectively as well with 128 on the ground. So thought it was encouraging for the Falcons, who are a sneaky 2-2 at this point of the season, Mark. Washington needs Jaden Daniels back. The Marcus Mariota, deal is just not going to be a sustaining force there for Washington, not to mention, they don't have their leading rusher in Austin Eckler there in the backfield, but they ran the ball much better. I mean, we'll say that's the Marcus Mariota. That's his thing, right? He had 2 carries for 20 yards in this game, a couple big scrambles. And overall as a team, they ran the ball well, but defensively, I think there's a lot of questions about Washington's defense, right? And Dan Quinn, this is where you made your money in the NFL, and this is why this team was as good as they were last year, next to the, of course, ascension of Jaden Daniels being what he was. Their defense played really well last year. So far this season, it's been kind of topsy-turvy. So that would be my biggest concern with Washington. And on the flip side, if I'm the Falcons, maybe this will get Penix and company, some much-needed confidence, and start to get things moving on the right direction, because I really did think Penix looked great this game, considering his previous performances.
Yeah, I have no problem with Marcus Mariota. You scored 27 points on the road against a desperate team that was held scoreless the week before, that is coming back home trying to get to 500. You should be able to win that game, but you give up 34 points. Your defense is a massive issue. I agree with you. Penix's ugly interception let Washington back in the game late in the third. It was bad, but I don't want to hate on Penix too much, because this was definitely his best game. 20 of 26, 313 yards, the 2 touchdowns. That throw to Drake London, great deep ball to touchdown. And listen, if you're Penix, you look at the stat sheet and you look at how this game shakes out. You say London 8 catches, 110 yards, a touchdown. Pitts 5 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown. Bijan Robinson, him and Algier combined for 126 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing, and then he had the 4 catches for 106 yards. That throw to Bijan was fantastic, and letting him get in space and run. Bijan Robinson right now, through 4 weeks, has more receiving yards than Devontae Adams, Drake London, DK Metcalf, Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Marvin Harrison Jr. He has more rushing yards than Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Ashton Genty, Jahmyr Gibbs, Omarion Hampton. He's having a fantastic start receiving and catching to start the year. Big must win for Washington, for Falcons. For Washington, listen, you fall to 2-2. And again, you say to yourself, our problems will be righted when we get Jane Daniels back. That's what you're saying to yourself. I think this defense is a real cause for concern. You made the trade for Marcus Lattimore at the end of last season. It's not been great on the outside as a corner. Maybe it looks like the game has passed him by a little bit. The Falcons, what team are they? Are they the team that goes on the road that gets blanked by the Panthers, who we'll talk about in a second, who looked like crap? Or are they the team that at home against a team that was in the NFC Championship game last year looked like they were firing on all cylinders? We need to find the consistency. I think they're probably somewhere in the middle, which is why I'm fearful of Atlanta, kind of putting my chips all in on them. We'll see. Through 4 weeks, 2-2, great performances, bad performances, kind of all over the map. Washington's problems are more than just not having Jane Daniels. Bob wasn't great. Krosky, Merritt, where was the run game? No Scary Terry in the game either.
Yeah, that hurt them too.
I will say for Atlanta too, I made this note. I want to get this in. They let go of Younghoe Koo. They bring in Romo. He had a shaky first week, but then this week, 2 for 2 in field goals, 4 for 4 in extra points. That's got to build a little bit of confidence as well that this kid might be able to be, stick around as a kicker for this season at least.
The Buffalo Bills win 31-19 over the Saints. Classic Bills game here. Not much commentary I need to give on the offense, but honestly, Mark, man, the Saints had opportunities.
They were close
throughout this game. They were close, and they looked like they may pull this thing out there in the third quarter, but then it got away from them, and late, and the 17 points in the second half kind of did them in from the Buffalo Bills. But I don't know, man. Is Spencer Rattler? This would be the best situation. They're 0-4. And maybe they've found a quarterback that can get them. I don't know. I don't think he's that good, right, to say he's our franchise guy. But if he he played pretty well. If he plays efficient football the rest of the season, and you're sitting at 3-14, there may be questions to be had because you can get a haul for that pick, no question. So I think Spencer Rattler's played pretty decent so far this year.
Well, yeah, especially with the quarterback, it's just we have a long way to go. But the quarterback class out of college right now is not looking we thought it would. It's not looking like we thought it would. So to focus on Rattler, 18 of 27, 126 yards and a touchdown. He did scramble a little bit more, 6 for 49 yards. But Dan, I have to go back to his interception in the red zone down 14-10 going into halftime. That was the game, right? You're hanging around the first half. You're only down 4. You throw that ugly red zone.
That was Olave. It was a trick play. Olave threw the pick in the end zone. It was like an end around or something like that. And then
what am I thinking about the Rattler?
Rattler threw a bad. I think he threw a bad pick last week. Maybe that was what you're thinking.
But yeah, Olave. Okay, fair enough. But I think.
To your point, though, he's not. His decision making hasn't been the best.
Well, but also if you're going to go to that trick play as opposed to your quarterback in the red zone. I don't know why I wrote down Rattler there. I have it Olave on another note. Yeah, the interception. So I don't know what I was thinking there. I will say, as far as Allen goes, it felt a little playing with the food. He did run for the touchdown. That Shakir touchdown early in the game was awesome. They leaned on Cook. I think they just felt like, listen, we're going to hand the ball off to Cook 22 times. He's going to get 117 yards and a touchdown. We don't need Josh Allen to be Superman in this game. And he was fine. He ended up with 3 total touchdowns, 209 yards. He was efficient enough. I will also say, as far as Buffalo goes, when you're 4-0, and we'll talk about this with the Eagles coming up here as well, I'm not going to be overly critical because you're finding ways to win games. A lot of teams lose games and they're 3-1. The difference between 3-1 and 4-0, or 2-2 and 4-0, or the Packers we'll talk about later on, 2-1-1 and 4-0, is that like, yeah, the Bills didn't play their best, but they found a way to still win games. The Packers didn't play their best, and they found a way to come up with an ugly tie. It felt like a loss. You know what I mean? The Jags are 3-1, but they couldn't win on the road against Cincinnati when Burrow went out. It's like they didn't find a way to win that game. So I'm not going to be too critical of a Buffalo team. I'm going to heap them praise, I should say, for finding ways to win games. Do I think they're the Miami Dolphins, the 72 Dolphins? No, I don't think they're on their way to be this undefeated juggernaut.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're finding a way to win games right now, and the schedule is workable for Buffalo. And when you look at maybe the Patriots getting sneaky good and people falling off in the AFC like a Baltimore, Kansas City off to a slow start, like stack those wins now, because we know the way for Buffalo to get to Super Bowl is to host an AFC title game. Too hard for them to go on the road to beat a Mahomes, to go on the road to beat maybe a Steelers team, things like that. We want to see them at home for their chance. So not going to be overly critical. And for the Saints, 0-4, I don't think they're crying over 0-4. They're still a feisty team. It's a fun watch. It's not like a disaster of a watch, but they need to be panicking about what's happening in college football right now if you're a Saints fan.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like they're like, really? It's going to happen to us during this year. But yeah, there's only 2 undefeated teams right now in the league, and it's the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. Who could have predicted that? Hint, a lot of people coming into the season. But hey, there's something to be said for actually getting it done, because you could have said Kansas City could have been one of those teams, or Baltimore, and they've had rough starts to the season. So to your credit there, you got to find a way to win. However you do it, gets that check mark in the win column. The Lions did something similar. They won in more convincing fashion, however, 34-10 over the Cleveland Browns to improve to 3-1 on the season. Goff looked really sharp in this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown was having a field day with the Browns defense. And I don't know. I mean, are we done here with the Browns? Experiment with Joe Flacco. Dylan Gabriel came in and had 1 pass attempt in this game. It's seeming like it's about time for the Browns to just start throwing Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders out there and see what you got.
Their defense is so good, and yet they did not sack Jared Goff. Like that, the Lions week 1, we got to almost put it out of our memory. From weeks 2, 3, and 4, the Detroit Lions might be the best team in football. Jared Goff has not been sacked with that reworked offensive line. It's still got Penei Sewell, right? You still have star pieces on that offensive line, but they went through some changes, and yet he has not been sacked now in 3 straight weeks. And I get it.
I didn't realize that.
You can say, well, the Bears didn't sack him. The Bears defensive line is no. This is the Cleveland Browns, and their defense. Listen, it kept them in this game. Detroit only led 10-7 in the second quarter. I mean, it was then punt, interception, and all of a sudden Detroit touchdown 17-7, and it felt like the game was over. But there was a stretch there in the second where it was close. It was back and forth. Listen, Flacco's interceptions were ugly. They weren't great. I'm not sitting here pounding the table saying I'm done with Joe Flacco, mainly because they have a
point though.
I'm with you, but I'm not a believer in either Gabriel or Sanders being the guy, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a Browns fan, I don't know if I want to send myself into that hell right yet, because the problem is his leash is going to be so short. If he looks so ugly in a bad first game, the chance for Shedeur are going to get enormous. And then you're stuck going, if Shedeur looks ugly, now it's week 7, and each of them have started a game, and now it's like, what do we do? You know what I mean? And so I felt always like I wanted Gabriel to have 3 games and Shedeur to have like 3 games at the end of the year, right? Now we're a far way away from week 10. And so that for my prediction, it's bad for Joe Flacco right now. Can they hold off another 2 or 3 weeks before they get into the flip-flopping of Gabriel and Shador? I don't know. The Lions, St. Brown, 7 catches, 70 yards at a touchdown. Jared Goff only had to be 16 to 27 for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. They pounded the rock with Gibbs. They found ways to score in other ways. Hutchison, the sack, the strip sack fumble. He looks really, really good early in the season. The Detroit Lions, it's going to be hard for us to ignore that loss against the Packers week 1. They're a different team right now, and it looks like their culture has found itself. I still don't think offensively they're as quick play deadly right now as we saw in the past with Ben Johnson, but defensively they're playing well, and offensively that offensive line has found its groove, and that is bad news for the NFC.
I am curious how they still haven't been able to find a way to consistently get Jameson Williams,
That's what I mean.
Big opportunities. Yeah. I mean, it's just, he is that big play threat. And on top of, I mean, this was a first round pick. He was a highly, highly touted.
Well, they just paid him money too. Remember, they just signed him before the year.
They just gave him money. They said, you're our number 2 guy for an extended period of time here. And he still just seems like a gadget guy, and so that's the thing where they gotta get other dudes more consistently involved. Obviously, it's working right now, so it's not like they're struggling, but would be nice to see that added component a little bit more regularly.
Well, they feel a little bit to me like the Eagles in that way, where it's like people feel like AJ Brown, get him involved. It's like they can win in so many ways, and for them in this game, it's just like, oh well. It was Gibbs had a big game, and so did St. Brown. And now we're up big, and so we feed the rock. Like David Montgomery did nothing in this game. He was their star the week before. You know what I mean? Like this Lions team has a lot of weapons. I'm with you though. Consistency for Jameson Williams. Can we also quickly mention Judkins? Breakout game for him. The Cleveland Browns rookie running back, 21 of 82 for a touchdown for 33 receiving. And so I'm happy for Cleveland that that's kind of working out.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And I guess to kind of rebut my point about putting Gabriel or Sanders in, the next 2 weeks are Minnesota's defense and Pittsburgh's defense in Pittsburgh. That's not ideal. Then you get Miami, New England, the Jets after that. That's a good stretch there to roll them out. And Baltimore. And Baltimore's defense has been really bad. So that is that on the case of the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions. We'll move on to the New England Patriots, who put up 42 points against the Carolina Panthers. 42-13 is the final. Panthers are now 1-3. Patriots improved to 2-2. There was some special team stuff in here, a big long punt return for the Patriots, but Drake May looked really good. Goes only 14 of 17, but just really, really solid. 203 yards, 2 touchdowns there. And they ran the ball well in this game with some nice chunk runs from the team. 3 rushing touchdowns in there on top of it. Stephon Diggs cleared 100 yards too. So that's another component. As well. Honestly, Mark, I thought Bryce Young played fine. He didn't make any catastrophic mistakes. It's just this team couldn't consistently move the ball, and they, couldn't have success in the red zone. And then we have Andy Dalton come into this game, goes 5 for 6.
At the very end, scores a late touchdown.
At the very end, and gets that touchdown late. So that wasn't, an ideal situation for Carolina. You would have liked to see
they were
them
down
put up
40
more points on this paltry, Patriots defense.
And they were down 42-6 when Dalton came in with 8 minutes in the fourth. So it wasn't like
and I get it. You don't want Bryce getting beat up or anything.
Yes, it didn't feel like a Bryce benching. It felt like a waving the white flag. Yeah, so there is a distinction in that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. I just feel like certain guys have earned that, where it's like we don't have to worry about them next week, but it's like Bryce still Bryce still needs the reps, right? And so but hey, I mean, I'm not gonna tell them how to run their team. They weren't gonna win the game, that's for sure. But encouraging signs from New England, no doubt about it. Drake May is becoming not just like a nice dual threat guy, but he's been really efficient the last couple of weeks and looking just really sharp with his decision making. And I thought that was what stuck out the most about this game to me.
Drake May is showing up. I mean, it's a perfect box score for Drake May. 14 of 17 for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. If I'm the Pats, I'm very excited about Drake May. And he's doing this with very limited weapons.
Yeah.
Listen, Stevenson and Henderson in the Pats rushing game kind of came alive. 29 carries, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had Diggs kind of finally show up. Hunter Henry has been very good for him, but there's still like ideally another 2 weapons away from like, okay, now Drake May's got his weapons, right? Like you'd like to see a true number 1 show up and maybe another fun, like over the top slot guy. And then probably even like the successor tight end to Hunter Henry at some point in time here in the next year or 2. Bryce Young, Dan, it's just, as I'm watching through the highlights, it's just like you're not getting enough. It's year 3, right?
It's
and
not
again,
elevating. Yeah.
And my biggest frustration with the Tuas, the Bryce Youngs, I say it every week, is again, Drew Brees is giving a lot of guys opportunities in college, right? Because like, oh no, we can win. And the modern NFL offense is giving guys opportunities in college who are smaller, who are accurate, just like dink and dunk point guard type quarterbacks. The problem is when these guys get to the NFL, if they are not actually Drew Brees, none of them have hit. Like, right, Purdy is struggling. Tua is struggling. For a lesser degree, Kyler Murray's a little bit more of an athlete, but it's still the size like thing. It's just not there. The arm talent, like the deep ball, like it's just not there. Bryce Young, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so buyer beware if you are going into this business. It just so far has not seemed to be working. I get it.
If you come in, you have to be the most accurate quarterback in the league, like Drew Brees, or
and your IQ has to already be able to be Drew Brees. Like you don't get the leeway of Drew Brees getting 4 years and then developing at a different time in the NFL where it wasn't all just on the quarterback. Like
right, and having a quarterback whisperer with you the whole way and weapons. The only other option is you're an elite creator like Russell Wilson, extending plays and scrambling, like Baker Mayfield, scrambling, extending plays. Doug Flutie, even to a lesser extent, was a guy who could rally teams to win because he just made ridiculous plays on the field. That's not Tua or Bryce, and they're also just not they're not even top 10 most accurate quarterbacks in the league. And so that's why.
And their arm strength, they're like Baker can make all the throws. Like Baker, I don't worry about Baker's arm strength at all. Yeah. I don't worry about Russell Wilson in his prime, his arm strength either. Like he had giant moon deep balls. That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
When have you seen Bryce Young do that? Like you just haven't. So Drake May, great game for him. He's really starting to pop. He feels to me like him, Caleb, and Jaden, like they're all starting to really find their groove, and the teams are starting to get really happy about them. I think Michael Penix, this was a good week for a step in the right direction for him. Obviously, Bo Nix has kind of been there. Bo Nix is another guy that feels like, we'll talk about him later on, obviously, but it's like, okay, I need maybe a little bit more in some ways, shapes, and form because you're not the 5-star guy, right? You're not the 6'6" 5-star guy. Big win for the Patriots. And again, with the Panthers, we talk about it with the Falcons, like both these teams. What are you? Are you the 30-0 blowout team at home, or are you the 42-6 getting blown out on the road? No Xavier Legette. They say he was injured, but I feel it's just not working. It hasn't been good to start the year. Tat McMillan was fine. But again, he hasn't looked like Jamar Chase, but maybe that's who's throwing the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a big question. Let's go to New York. Jaxson Dart gets his first start in the NFL and gets a big win over the 3-0 Chargers, 21-18. the final there. Jaxson Dart looked really overall solid. He gave the team the spark that they needed and obviously put his scrambling skills on display. 10 carries for 54 yards. A lot of running in this game. 42 attempts for 161 for the New York Giants. And the Los Angeles Chargers, this was the bigger component that we've kind of been waiting to see this year. They get Omari and Hampton. They had Najee Harris, who's now hurt, of course. And with just 13 total carries on this team, they put up 152 yards on the ground. This was the type of rushing prowess that we expected from the Chargers coming in. Of course, Justin Herbert did Justin Herbert things, 23 of 41. But he had 2 bad picks in this game. And then late, Brian Burns in that, New York pass rush gets after Justin Herbert in a key down, sacks him, and, gets the ball back for New York. And then by the time the Chargers got the ball back after that, there was less than 20 seconds on the clock, and it was pretty much game over. So you could also see, Mark, the elation on Brian Dable's face when Jaxson Dart won and going up and embracing him. You could just tell that Brian Dable finally got one of his guys a win. It seems like year after year since he's been in New York, he hasn't really been able to do that with his guy. And so it felt like there was a little bit of that in that expression. And so kudos to Jaxson Dart and company. That's a hell of a way to get your first win at home against a really, really good team that was coming into your house undefeated. So solid stuff from New York. And if I'm the Chargers, honestly, I'm not panicking. You lost by 3. It was kind of a weird game. You had the 2 picks. That's uncharacteristic of Herbert in general. Brighter days ahead for the Chargers.
Malik Neighbors out for the year, ACL, and that's that is definitely the wet towel on this win for the Giants, right? Because now really it's like, hey, we got a spark, we got this QB, and now our number 1 weapon is out. I'm with you. I think the Chargers are going to come back better for this loss. Now they lose Joe Alt, high ankle sprain, so he's only going to miss like three couple weeks. From what I was saying, maybe 3-4 weeks. But that still sucks because they're obviously without Rashawn Slater. But yeah, Omari and Hampton, it's finally his backfield now with Najee Harris out for the year with his torn Achilles, and he was fantastic. And I think they're going to look at this, and I think Harbaugh is going to go, we really, really, really let this one slip through our fingertips. When you have Justin Herbert throw 41 times, only 203 yards, he's the type of guy, if you're throwing 40 times, he's probably going to end up with 400 yards. You know what I mean? He's more of that volume guy. So things clearly weren't working. I'm not panicking if I'm the Chargers. You went on the road all the way, as far of a road trip as you could basically make from Los Angeles to New York. Early game. You had 14 penalties for 107 yards. You lose Alt. Scatabo, they handed it to him a billion times. You get 6 sacks on the game. Like, your defense played well. I can't think of his. I can't say his name. Tuipuyoto. Yeah. He was fantastic. He was fantastic. He had 4 sacks in this game. So, lot to like. And again, to me, the interceptions weren't great, but the killer mistake from Herbert was the sack, the 16-yard sack. When you're down 21-18, you get the ball back in the fourth quarter, you're driving, and then you take that devastating sack. That's unacceptable. You got to be better than that if you're Justin Herbert, and you got to know your line's beat up at that point in time. The ball's got to come out, and you can't afford to take a 16-yard sack. Final point. Jaxson Dart, I thought, was really fun to watch. I get the excitement around him. Dan, he was taking ginormous hits. Like, he was running the ball like Justin freaking Fields. I'm watching this, I'm like, he looks like Justin Fields. Like, he's just recklessly running the football like he's a running back. It's like he looks
might have been a little overamped.
Yes, it's like he was like Cam Scatabo is like, let's fucking go and like let's run the ball. And he got injured in this game. Like, and now he's kind of questionable for next week already. Like, And I get it. Dable found success with Josh Allen. He got this head coaching job because he made Josh Allen from a runner to a passer, but still embraced the running of Josh Allen. I like Jaxson Dart. He's a big dude, but he's not Josh Allen run the football big dude. And so hold your breath and hope that they can not have him run for 10 times 54 yards and take those hits next game.
Yeah, 100%. We mentioned the Bills going to 4-0. The Eagles are also 4-0, 31-25. They pulled this victory out by the skin of their teeth. Very close game in this one. Competitive game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield and company falling, though, to 3-1. So something was going to have to give in this game. I will say, and rightfully so, a lot of people are talking. The Eagles' offense hasn't really looked as dominant as it certainly did the last half of last season, including into the Super Bowl. They've kind of trudged along, but Tampa Bay is a hell of a team. So to pull off a win any way you can take it, I think you're pretty happy about that if you're the Eagles. They also pulled off that nifty trick on the fake tush push, which I thought was really, really interesting and really smart. But they were more about efficiency in this game. They didn't run the ball particularly well, but they didn't also make any of the big mistakes. And only a couple sacks on Jalen Hurts. So nothing really to write home about. I'm curious what your takeaway was from this game. It almost looked like Bucky Irving was going to be hurt bad, but I think he's
gonna miss a little time. He might miss a week or something. He's a little banged up. I will say this, Dan. My big takeaway was, okay, like Tristan Wirfs is back, so he was a little shaky, he was a little rusty, but that's a huge. Even in a loss, if you're a Bucs fan, you say to yourself, okay.
Almost got in a fight too.
Yeah, you went toe to toe. You were down 14-0 when Baker threw that really, really ugly pick, and that was a bad pick. He had another bad pick later in the game. But I will say this: for the Eagles, you had control of this game early. Your special teams were dominant. You blocked the punt, you get the touchdown, you get the interceptions. You're kind of controlling this game. I'm not going to be too critical of the Eagles offense, but I will say I agree with you. It doesn't certainly feel easy right now. Like Saquon, 19 carries, 43 yards, and even 4 catches for only 31 yards. Like he certainly has not been Mr. 2000 this year, right? Like the pace has dropped off. I think you're also seeing teams play the Eagles a little differently. They're daring them to throw. They're playing more people in the box. And they just haven't adjusted to that, or they're just willing to say, we're going to play a muddy game and we're going to trust our talent's going to beat your talent and our special teams are going to beat your special teams. And so far they have, to the tune of 4-0. Listen, if you're the Bucs, you got to be pumped that you didn't have quit. You battled back. You gave yourself a chance to win this game. I still think the Bucs are right there. I absolutely think they're a top 10 team in the NFL. I think that they have a bright future still ahead in this game. A.J. Brown, he's the discussion. He will be the discussion, and he should be the discussion. He was targeted 9 times, 2 catches for 7 yards. Yeah. Something is not working. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator. I don't know if it's the quarterback wide receiver relationship. Something is not working, okay? It needs to get addressed if the Eagles want to be a Super Bowl back-to-back team. They're okay to trudge along right now, but if we're still talking about a week 8 performances like that, even if they're 8-0, I think we're going to have some real questions about the legitimacy of their title, defense and how far they can go. Not panicking if I'm Baker and the Bucs. No Mike Evans. Egbuka, it was very good. Baker had that dart to Egbuka in the touchdown, for the long touchdown, the third. That looked good. They're going to be fine. I could see these two teams squaring up again in a big game.
They lost to the Super Bowl champs by 6. Like you can hang your hat on that, and you're perfectly fine. The Texans, 26-0 drubbing of the Tennessee Titans. Was this in your mind a team that was on life support? Finally, trying to just exercise some demons.
Absolutely. It's the same thing we've talked about kind of with the Falcons and the Panthers. It's like, what are we now, right? Like you absolutely needed this and you got this. That's
Yeah.
huge for them, right? And Stroud looked really good, 22, 28, 233, 2 touchdowns. Woody Marks, hello, welcome to the NFL, 17, 69 and a touchdown. He also had 4 catches for 50 yards, a touchdown, the 4th rounder out of USC. Nick Chubb, 13 carries, 47 yards. I think Danielle Hunter, 2 sacks. Defensively, they just were locked in. And that was to me, this was the mark of a culture win. It was a big culture win. You look at to me so far, they had to stop the bleeding, and they did so in a really big way. They re-entered the chat. The Texans have re-entered the chat. Now they're not, you're not like, oh, hey, let me go message them and say hi. You know what I mean? Let's add. But they're there. They're back. The little green light is alive next to their name. For the Titans, really quickly, Ward, it was the first time I thought it looked like it was a struggle. Like it was
Overwhelmed.
It wasn't overwhelmed. Like he hasn't been brilliant, but in every game you see like the whoa, wow, right? And this game you saw a smidge of that, but you saw a lot more like, oh God, they don't know what they're doing, and it's just not good. And offensively, I'm worried for them because they've invested heavily in the offensive line the last 2 drafts, and the offensive line still just is not coming along for them. 100%. Did the Texans? I really quickly, I think I saw somewhere the Browns traded for the Texans tackle,
Cam
Robinson, who was on the Chiefs. So that's interesting. Maybe the Texans
kind of out of nowhere.
Maybe the Texans feel like, okay, he's lost his value. You know, we're going to get some value for a guy, but
it was only a round. They moved a round up, so it almost seemed like just for cash purposes.
Maybe there was something locker room. Maybe it just didn't feel right, and maybe they felt like, listen, we feel confident with who we can sign or some depth that we have there. I mean, they obviously traded Laramie Tunsil too. Like it's just that one flew under the radar a little bit. It's like, what was that? Especially for a team that's 1-3, but was expected to compete. So we'll see if their offensive line is really struggling in the next couple of weeks. That might become a bigger story.
Yeah, agreed. We have to keep tabs on that. The Rams eke out a victory against the red hot Colts. So both of those teams moved to 3-1, 27-20. The victory there. Puka Nacua is operating at a different level.
Have you seen the stats versus him versus AJ Brown? In this game, Nacua had 13 catches for 170 something yards, and how many touchdowns? 1 or 2? 1. On the season, AJ Brown has 14 catches, so he has one more in the season than Nacua in this game. He has less yards and the same amount of touchdowns. Like Nacua, you're right, different level.
Yeah, no, he is right now the best wide receiver in football, and it's not particularly close at this point in time. They also ran the ball well, did the Los Angeles Rams, and Matthew Stafford was just phenomenal. He's really playing well beyond the age that he's playing at, because the fact that he threw 41 times this game still looked just as sharp. If they're getting a fully healthy Matthew Stafford all season long, I think you feel really good about their chances to make some waves and even push for a 1 seed. And when it comes to Indy, I don't think I'm taking too much away from this. You had a crazy play by a young receiver, Adonai Mitchell, just made a brilliant play, all to yet again, fumble the ball near the goal line, and not yet again for him, but yet again with young players making these really silly mistakes at the goal line. And turn it into a touchback for the other team. So that was brutal. This could have been a very different game had that not happened.
Oh, yeah.
But Daniel Jones did throw, 2 picks as well.
They were both very ugly,
and those were bad.
On the first
Daniel Jones,
the first drive, a deep ball, and then the last drive, a deep ball. Ugly picks, trying to do too much.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll say this really quickly. I think you covered most of it there, except for the fact the Colts were up 20-13 in the fourth, right? And so you
Yeah.
look at this
Did
and you go,
require
oh,
comeback.
Rams win 27-20. Okay. The Rams, this was a battle. Like, this was a back and forth. This was a tough game. The Rams certainly didn't take advantage of the 11 penalties. They didn't take too much advantage of the turnovers. And then once they were there and they were around in the fourth quarter, you had veteran coaching, veteran quarterback play, veteran weapons in Nakua, and they just got it done. Like, Adams had a fine game too, 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell as well. The deep ball touchdown, 1 catch, 88 yards, touchdown. Like, that's the Rams need a guy like that. Stafford can take advantage of a guy like that. So really, really good battle back win for the Colts, for the Rams against a Colts team that shouldn't panic. But I do think for Daniel Jones, this was okay, we're coming off the mountain a little bit, right? The ugly picks, let's reset a little bit. You're 3-1 through 4 weeks. Every single Colts fan would have signed up for that a million times out of a million. I think Rams fans would have signed up for 3-1 as well with their schedule, knowing that again, they played a really close game against the defending Super Bowl champs like the Bucs and lost. I feel good about both of these teams. I think the Colts were my first team on the outs of the power rankings. Okay. I think I had them at 11 or 12. The Rams, I think I have the Rams in the top 5.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. The Rams are playing really, really good football, and the Colts are solid. I still don't buy them long term. I feel like this team is still going to be in that 500 range. And obviously, before the season, I picked them, I think, to win 5 or 6 games. So I think at this point they're going to win more than that. But yeah, I think they're still a year away and probably a quarterback as well. Even though, hey, they may be sticking with Daniel Jones. The Jaguars pull off a big win. I thought this was a huge win for Jackson.
I hate that I didn't get to just watch this game because it was on when the Bears were on.
Right, yeah.
So I got highlights of it. I was following on my phone, and then, of course, I go back and I watch all the highlights. What a game, Dan.
What a game. Great game. I thought Trevor looked really, really good. There were a couple moments where you're like, oh, Trevor, like a couple of those, but way fewer than we typically see. It was really good all around. And he didn't throw for a ton, but he was really, really good with the football. And they ran the ball really well. This was like the ETN game. He just run after run. They were getting chunk yards, 6 yards, 7 yards here. Baishal Tutin, the rookie, had a couple nice moments there, especially out of the backfield, catching passes, spread the ball around. This was just a really good, complete game of football from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brock Purdy didn't look great. The Jacksonville defense got to him. Purdy made some bad mistakes. Christian McCaffrey did everything he could in this game to keep them in it, and they were in it, till the end. But, it was 26-14 before San Francisco ended up, getting that touchdown in the fourth quarter and make it close. So this was more of a beatdown by Jacksonville than maybe the score indicated.
Well, yeah, it's 17-6, halftime lead for the Jags. They get that. There's a couple sequence I wanted to mention. The long return right before the end of the second, gets the Jags that field goal to get them to 17-6, right? And so the Jags were up 7-3. You have a field goal from the Niners, so like they're cutting into it, and all of a sudden then you get that last field goal there to cushion that lead, puts a little bit more pressure on them. Brock Purdy, he was down 17-14, so they battle back, they get the 2-point conversion. All right, we got a game here. It's 17-14. You're at home, right? You are the home team against the Jacksonville Jaguars team. That interception in the middle of the third, down 17-14, was just ugly. The first one was a tip. CMC should have had it. He bobbled it. Other guy catches it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to kill Purdy for that.
Yeah, that happens.
But Purdy, they asked him to throw the ball 38 times, 309 yards. The touchdown throws were fine, but that interception to me was an absolute killer. The Jags get the special teams, the return at the end of the third. It's 26-14. And then even after all of that, you are at home, right? You just got paid $60 million a year, Brock Purdy. You have Ricky Pearsall, who can play. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's a stud. You have, so far from everything I could tell, like your best offensive linemen are playing. It's not like they're decimated on the offensive line, injuries or something like that, right? You have a backup tight end who you're finding a connection with, even with Kittle out. You have all of these things, and you're at home. 3:30 left. The Jags miss a field goal. The Jags should have won the game. They should have gone up 29, you know what I mean, and forced you to get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. Yeah. 26-21. You get the ball, fumble. Like you fumbled the ball. You didn't even get the drive. You costly fumbled the ball. It can't happen. It cannot happen for someone who the Niners have invested in to be good. Listen, Lawrence, if you look at the box score, it's like Lawrence 174 yards, a touchdown. Purdy 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. But if you watch one quarterback versus the other, it's like I'm taking that guy over the other guy all day.
Easy, yeah.
And Purdy just, again, you cannot make the mistakes. That one interception was really bad. And I heard this from Colin Cowherd today, and that's why I listen to guys like them. I steal nuggets. I try to bring it to our viewers and our listeners. Purdy led the FBS in interceptions. He led college football in interceptions, like from when he started to when he was out. He was a reckless player at Iowa State. He was, now the thing about him too is he was reckless in that fun way that he was kind of a gunslinger and accurate in other ways. But he was a guy that would make costly throws and costly errors.
There was a play, I hope I'm getting this right, in the college, in the a big bowl game at Iowa State that he, at the very end of the game, they needed it. It was 4th down to keep their hopes alive. He passed the line of scrimmage and then fumbled the ball backwards and had to go get it. And then he was tackled and it was game over. It was like, so that's
listen, the Niners are they're 3-1. I'm not panicking on them. Yeah. But again, this was another classic example of like, I wouldn't have paid this guy, and they did. And so good luck to you. Like, I don't know what the ceiling is for the Niners. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. Listen, they're off to a hot start, but this was, I think, a telling win. The 49ers defense had 0 sacks and forced 0 turnovers at home against Trevor Lawrence, who's prone to turnovers. So it was a complete team loss, not just Purdy. And for the Jags, you didn't play a great game. Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., 8 catches for 91 yards. But you created 4 turnovers, that Jags defense. Some really nice things coming from them. The Jags had 12 penalties. They couldn't take advantage of that. So there was a lot of ugliness and craziness in this game. But credit to the Jags, again, for finding a way on the road to get this win. I think it was the biggest win of the weekend.
Yeah, I did too. That was really important because they are one of those teams that are sneakily 3-1.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, like Jacksonville's doing all right, and maybe they can continue to stack. The Kansas City Chiefs absolutely crushed the Baltimore Ravens. 37-20 doesn't even feel like it does the game justice here.
They were down 30-13 at the end of the third. I mean, it wasn't a close game.
Absolutely brutal. Patrick Mahomes, 4 passing touchdowns to 4 different players. They also ran the ball 32 for 118. And the Ravens, by the end of this game, had Cooper Rush out there playing. Lamar Jackson, little banged up with a hamstring. Seemed like he would have been fine to go back in, but
he's going to miss, they say now, 2 or 3 weeks.
Did they actually come? Okay.
That was what I saw today. The Ravens.
He was going to miss one based on he wanted to go back in and finish it. And John Harbaugh made a statement like, he's a fighter and stuff like that, but we wanted to sit him. And so that's That was the latest I had heard. But if
you can look at
games,
you can look it up. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw earlier today Lamar.
Yeah, we'll check it right now in real time. Unlikely to play week 5, could miss 2 to 3 weeks per
2 to 3
Brian
weeks the
Webb.
hamstring. And listen, Roquan Smith injures the hamstring. Their defense can't afford that. Matabike is now out for the year.
That was their biggest loss in terms of for the year. That's the guy. That's the one guy they have up the middle that can actually create and wreak havoc.
Well, money wise, they've invested in the front, the middle, and the back end of that defense, and all 3 phases are beat up now.
Yeah.
They weren't playing well before they got beat up, but now they are also not playing well and beat up. Listen, Lamar Jackson, I heard today from Nick Wright, is now 1-6 against Mahomes in his career. But this is a quarterback that has the highest winning percentage in the NFL since he entered the NFL.
Highest passer rating.
And the highest pass rating in NFL history. So this is now officially something. They cannot hide from it. Either it's Steve Spagnuolo and they just do something, or he just truly cannot play in the biggest moments. And when the lights are that bright, because Lamar, we got to remember, bad interception. He doesn't throw interceptions. He threw an ugly interception this game. Bad fumbles. He had that horrible fumble in the AFC title game. He has the horrible fumble in this game. Down 20-7. It's late in the second, and you fumble like that. I don't know what it is, but I'm not trading Lamar Jackson for a lot of guys. Obviously, he is a top 4 quarterback in this NFL. He is elite. He's a 2-time MVP. I think he's on the way to a Hall of Fame career. But truthfully, at this moment of his career, if you also want to write his legacy, the legacy is either when it's the Chiefs, the Bills, or the lights are just that bright, and they're only bright against the Chiefs and the Bills, so it's the Chiefs and the Bills. He is not on the same level as his contemporaries. Yeah. He is ahead of them stats-wise during the regular season. Fine. But when you're talking about head-to-head, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, that's who he's competing against. He has he has the privilege, he has earned the right to be in that conversation. Trevor Lawrence hasn't earned the right to be in that conversation. CJ Stroud has not earned the right to be in that conversation. Caleb Williams has not earned. He has earned the right. Those 4 names, that's who he's measured against. Those are the best of the best. Justin Herbert hasn't even earned the right to be in that conversation because they haven't actually gotten to play those guys in the biggest stage. The last 4 years, the only 4 names that matters when it comes to who's going to Super Bowl in the AFC are those 4 guys. And right now, he's at the bottom of those 4. He's still an amazing player. But the Ravens have to look themselves in the mirror a little bit right now. You're paying him a ton of money. Your defense is falling apart. Derrick Henry looked mortal. It seems like he's in a little bit of a slump, and he should be. I mean, he's going to have stages of this. He's an old player. All that to say, the Chiefs are still really good, right? Yeah, and I think what the Chiefs proved in this game is, hey, we got Worthy back. We weren't expecting Worthy to go out with friendly fire on the first drive of the first game of the season. That threw a little wrench, but here we are. He's back healthy. We'll get Rice now in 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, everything that they worked on the offseason, all systems go. This is going to be going really well for the Chiefs. And if I was the Chiefs, I would be absolutely in the market for a running back. They have to be considering who's available, who is maybe not happy, who's trying to sell. Spend more. Give a 3rd or a 4th rounder. You
don't get Breece Hall.
Go get someone who might be selling, because if they can add a legitimate RB1 to this group, the offensive line is fine. It's above average. If they can add a legitimate RB1, when you have then the depth of wide receivers, because all of a sudden Juju Smith-Schuster becomes like your 3rd option once you get Rice back, that's really solid. The 2 solid tight ends. They just need one more piece. It was a really great game for Kansas City, a great win for Kansas City. They're absolutely all the way back, it feels like, even though they're 2-2. And for Baltimore, I'm not counting them out. I can't count them out. But we'll see what they do of these next 2 games if Lamar misses. If they're 1-5, how can you not at least count them out of that division? I don't see them making a comeback in that division, depending on what happens with Pittsburgh over the next 2 weeks.
If it's 1-5, that's going to be really tough. I mean, I will say, the final like 5-ish games of the season are tough for the Ravens, but they have a fairly workable and easy schedule here. I mean, Houston's up next. They can easily win that game even without Lamar, I would say.
With Cooper Rush? This isn't. I was a shocked reminder of like, oh shit, that's right, Cooper Rush, because you just think of all the Tyler Huntley, and he went to the Pro Bowl. And
Tyler Huntley, yeah.
I'm assuming someone like Marcus Mariota is coming in, right?
Right. Not Cooper Rush. They got the Rams and the Bears after that, though. Those are a couple tough games, and then
I think he should sit for the Bears games. Get healthy.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Get healthy.
And they probably won't get Burrow for their first game against the Bengals late November. So there's opportunity here for the Ravens to get this thing right. But yeah, hopefully this injury doesn't linger for Lamar and extend it beyond a game or two, because that would really hurt their chances. Let's get to your Bears. 1-point victory over the Vegas Raiders, but like a counterpart on the Football Lounge with Mark and Dan once tweeted to me earlier on Sunday, a dub is a dub. So you'll take the win any way you can get it. 25-24, block the field goal at the end of the game to secure the victory. How are you feeling after that one?
Listen, I got this brand new Bears hat. I went retro. Everything's now like the bear logo. So my wife's like, I want to get you a new Bears hat because your other one is Grody. She doesn't understand that that's like a mark of pride that I wear it so much.
I just turned your camera around because we couldn't. It was mirroring, so everything was backwards.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I laugh because I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I want to go back to the C. I want to go back to the C logo that they wear on the helmets.
Back to the basics.
Listen, I could sit here and nitpick. There's a lot to nitpick. DeAndre Swift is not consistently good enough. 14 carries, 38 yards. He did have the really nice touchdown run at the end of the game, and I appreciate him breaking that one, and that was huge. I can nitpick the fact that Cole Kmet looks like absolute trash in the first half, and maybe had the worst first half of any tight end I've seen in NFL history. But he came up with a ginormous catch in the second half, as well as the touchdown grab. I mean, not the touchdown grab, but that big drive-saving catch, and then made a crucial block on the Swift run. I can be really nitpicky of the fact that they didn't get any sacks, and I'm paying Sweat a lot of money. And we invested in guys to go get the quarterback, and they're not getting the quarterback. But also 3 interceptions and ball hawking interceptions, not fluky interceptions, but the defense doing the right thing, the ball hawking interceptions. So I can be picky on a lot of things. I can also sit here and say, no Darnell Wright, your starting right tackle, no Braxton Jones, Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards out, Colson Loveland, your first-round pick, out. Obviously, Jalen Johnson's going to probably miss the majority of the year. We don't have an official timetable on Jalen Johnson. No Grady Jarrett in this game up front to kind of balance the front of that defensive line. The Raiders outrushed the Bears 240 yards to 69. And yet the Chicago Bears found a way to win a football game. This is the first time I saw a great tweet, and I think it's so apropos. This is the first time since Lovie Smith was the head coach of the Chicago Bears that I feel confident that my head coach currently can win that game, not lose that game. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We've had over a decade of coaching where it's like, oh, we're going to lose this game. Like, we're not going to win this game. Lovie Smith's Bears teams with Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs would find a way to win that game with a gritty defensive effort. This Chicago Bears defense found a way to win the game with a gritty defensive effort. I have a couple tweets bookmarked I also know I want to get to, so I don't want to forget those. That'll help me compile my thoughts. This is the first time a Bears team since 2013, so 12 years, have scored 20 or more points in their first 4 games of the season. That's a wild stat. So that's a good stat for the Bears.
Wow.
Rome Odunze on third down this year, Dan, 10 catches, 181 yards, and 3 of his 5 touchdowns on third down. It just goes to show you that that's coaching. Caleb and Rome and the positions that the coaching staff are putting them on third down are working. Caleb Williams in the red zone this year, 12 of 19, 58 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And it was this interception, which credit to Max Crosby. He just made a play. Like that wasn't Caleb throwing a bad pick. That was Max Crosby being a game
Max
wrecker.
Crosby and TJ Watt both getting interceptions the same weekend. That's pretty fun.
Dude, being a game wrecker. And then he has 8 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown in the red zone. So he's running efficiently in the red zone as well. So much to like for this Chicago Bears team in finding a way to win that game. Dan,
agreed.
The throw to Rome Odunze for the touchdown, go back and watch it over and over and over again. There's so much to like because so much of the Caleb highlights are the ones where it's like, oh no, he's moving. What is he doing? And then it's just like a dart. And you're like, oh my God, that's why you drafted number 1 overall. This touchdown to Rome Odunze on third down, what was it? It was 3-step, get to your spot, hit your open man, boom, 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 read the play. Like it was a Ben Johnson touchdown. It was a playing in the system touchdown.
That was right down the seam, right?
Yes. And through 3 defenders, but he knew his guy was there and he trusts his guy. Lot to like. I didn't like that they increased their penalties back to 8. They got it down to 6 or 4. Like, keep that to 6 or under. You know what I mean? I get it. The NFL, there's a lot of ticky-tacky stuff. The Ashton Genty breakout game, he needed this. He needed a bad Bears defense to get going. He was spectacular. The Bears were down 24-19 with under 6 to go in the fourth quarter. They found a way to win that game. The block kick, what I heard from Blackwell, the guy who blocked the kick, also made me so excited because he said multiple things. His coach apparently called it in the headset to Ben Johnson, Blackwell's going to block it. I have no reason to doubt that's a true story. That means that the coaches are confident that they're putting their guys in the right spot. And also Blackwell had said that the Bears long snapper has been scouting the opposite team's long snappers and gave Blackwell the tell. And he used the tell. Apparently he had a tell. So this feels different. This feels like a Lovie Smith. We're a well-coached football team that's still got some growing pains. A lot,
and it just goes to show that it's a total team effort. Everybody is in it for each other. You've seen some fractured, locker rooms in the past there.
And again, Max Crosby was brilliant. You're missing your right tackle, and you had to move your offensive lineman around, and you had to start your rookie right tackle for a while, and you gave up 1 sack. A lot of pressures, but you gave up 1 sack. Caleb Williams can handle some pressure. He's a Houdini at times. I didn't love it. I mean, I want to win every game like the Cowboys game, right? 4 touchdowns, be perfect. But for anyone to sit there and be anything but positive about this Bears team getting this type of victory this early in the season, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying and what you're seeing. They also needed this bye week. I said it 5 weeks ago, right? I hate the early bye unless they were beat up. This team is beat up. No Kyler Gordon, no T.J. Edwards. He hasn't played yet this year. They need to get some of those guys back. They need to get Darnell Wright back. They need to address what they're doing at the left tackle position. I think they're going to hear during this bye. The Washington Commanders have a really tough game against the Chargers. That's going to be a physical football game. And then they get a Bears team off the bye with the site of the Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about the Chicago Bears having a chance to get to 3-2 and for us to feel really different about this team. I already feel really different. I feel way more confident that the culture is settling in. The coaching is settling in.
Things are happening.
Players are settling in. I just wish they were all healthy because I think if this Bears team right now had some of these pieces, this could have been a much more telling win like the Cowboys win. But they found a way to win the game, pumped about it. And for the Raiders, let's be honest, we kind of felt like this is how their season would go, Dan. I don't say Geno gave this game away. Geno's picks were not, he was staring down receivers, and you have 3 interceptions and a fumble. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. You're not going to win many football games, but the bye comes at a good time for the
Bears and the Steelers.
Chicago Bears and the Steelers. The Packers and Cowboys in the tie herd around the world. What a wild game this was. 40-40 is the final. And it was looking like it was going to be a low-scoring game. 13-16 was the score at half, and it ends up 40-40 in overtime. After the Packers kicked the field goal to tie it at the end of the game, it looked like everybody was just, nobody's happy when a tie happens. But you mentioned earlier, the Packers, this could have been a loss for them. So when it's at that point, I guess you'll take a tie, right? They stay at 2-1-1 here. Cowboys are 1-2-1.
I hate ties. I do. Yeah, I had to turn my hat back around because I'm back to being an impartial journalist now. Yes. This was a win for the Cowboys, and this was a loss for the Green Bay Packers. I don't think there's any other way to really look at it. Now, the great thing for Green Bay is at the end of the year, we were talking about how close I think some of these records are going to be with Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. You think of all the Washingtons, how that wild card is going to shake out. We're going to have a lot of teams. Look at the NFC West. Already 3 teams, 3-1. Like, there's going to be a lot of junction. What's your function at the top of the playoff seeding? Having a tie is going to be hugely helpful for them, right? Is a lot compared to a loss. So it's not a loss. But Dan, as much as we were lauding the Packers after week 1, and we were questioning the Lions today, right now, who's the better team, the Lions or the Packers? I feel like it's the Lions. Yeah. They're playing better football. And here's the problem. I don't know if the Packers or the Cowboys' problems are that fixable right now, because both the quarterbacks were phenomenal. I hate to say it. Jordan Love was terrific in this game. Yeah. 31 of 43, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. You score 40 points on the road. I don't care who it's against. You should win that freaking game. Dak Prescott, 31 of 40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 1 time, and it was that Micah Parsons, not really a sack, right on the line of scrimmage. He was scrambling. It was a huge play, not really a sack, kind of like a tackle. You score 40 at home, you should win the game. Like, they're both looking at each other, probably going like, how the hell do we not win this game? I did enough to win this game. It got crazy at the end. At one point in time, this game was not like out of hand. I mean, it was 23 to 20 to start the 4th, and it ends up 40-40 in overtime. So a ton of scoring late, nosebleed defenses. Both quarterbacks made incredible throws. Both wide receivers wide receiver cores made some really great plays. I will say again, if I'm the Packers, concerning that Josh Jacobs is your leading receiver with 71 yards. Now, I know Dobbs had the 3 touchdowns on 6 catches, but I'm not seeing the big plays from the Packers wide receivers, the explosive plays. Pickens was terrific. Javonte Williams was very good. I will say this: Dallas's defense left me feeling better than the Packers defense. They had 6 tackles for loss. Green Bay only the 1. It just felt like Green Bay's defense was non-existent this game. And Micah Parsons, I know, came into the season injured. It looked like he was dealing with, they had to check him for a concussion in this game. He was frustrated. But so far, it hasn't been like when the Bears signed Khalil Mack. That was the double doink year. He came out firing on all cylinders. I think he had like 6 sacks in the first 6 weeks, 5 weeks. This has not been so far the case for Micah Parsons.
Yeah, it's been a really slow ramp up.
Yeah,
for sure. In a game between 2 winless teams, the Dolphins finally got their first win of the season. Yeah. Justin Fields and the New York Jets fall to 0-4. This was a weird game. I thought Tua played pretty well overall. Devon Achane ran the ball well. They were making things happen. It was probably Tua's best game of the season. That's not saying much, but it was, and he didn't make any crucial mistakes. The big story, obviously, Tyreek Hill shattering his knee and tearing several ligaments, had to have surgery, and he's done for the season. So they're going to have to pull from several other playmakers. But Darren Waller, out of nowhere, has 2 touchdowns, and he's looking pretty good. So maybe they'll be able to work in him a little bit more in this offense. It just, Justin Fields really couldn't do anything more in this game. And that was something where it's like,
well, not fumbling would be,
that would be
good.
Fair point. The fumble was really bad. The fumble was
bad.
The
Jets had 3 fumbles and they lost all 3.
Yeah. He made all the plays for them, though. Garrett Wilson did too, of course. But
it was a lot of dink and dunk from Fields, but I'm with you. The touchdown throw to Wilson late was a great throw and a great catch.
And he just had some really good scrambles. But that fumble is going to come back on him for sure.
Good for the Dolphins. They controlled the game. I mean, they were up 24-13 late in this game. They go on to kick that field goal. It's a game-sealing drive for them late in the game, 27-13 with 3:30 left. They didn't blow you away. They're not like the Dolphins of 2 years ago when they put 70 up. Now, they're not going to be that way without Tyreek Hill. That was a gruesome injury. I tweeted it out, and I mean it truthfully. He's got some off-the-field stuff that he should very well be made fun of for on Twitter and things like that, and it's not a great look for him as a human being. But as a football player, he is a truly great football player, and I'd hate to see his career go out kind of like this. I don't know if you're going to recover from tearing multiple ligaments, including your ACL, and a violent knee dislocation on a tackle like that to be what you are, which is a speedster wide receiver who's shifty. I don't know. I hope he comes back and can. But the Jets are built with a defensive head coach with what we thought was a really good defense. 0 sacks.
They haven't been effective. They've been a poor unit.
They've been a poor unit. And Justin Fields is not to blame. The fumble was bad, but overall, Justin put his team in positions to be better, and they couldn't do it. They're not running the ball effectively enough. They're not getting turnovers on defense.
Braylon Allen's fumble was really bad because they were really just about to score. They were just about to score.
I think the Jets, don't get me wrong, I think they have zero
turnovers.
Yeah, like they haven't caused a turnover on the year.
Yeah, no takeaways.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough. McDaniels avoided being fired. Like, this could have been the he gets fired game. It's not the Jets fire the head coach because he's a rookie head coach. This was the if they lose at home in an ugly way, it's the get fired game. He avoided the get fired game. Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. How are you feeling about Bo Nix after the 326-yard 2-touchdown performance? Some nice, a couple nice scrambles on key downs. He had the touchdown as well there too, and they really took care of business against the Bengals, 28-3.
I feel like I feel like this was we're going to show Bo Nix off game. And it didn't feel like it needed to be that. I mean, Dobbins was so effective, 16 carries, 101 yards.
First 100-yard rusher since Sean Payton took over the Broncos.
Yes. And again, it just goes to show you why Sean Payton sometimes had a lot of 7-9 seasons with the Saints. Nix threw 42 times. This game was never in doubt, Dan. This game was never in doubt. Like the Bengals couldn't do anything after that first drive. It was never in doubt. And they kept throwing the ball, and it was 28 points at home. Like, it's not like they scored 40-3. So again, maybe I'm being too critical, but he was sacked 0 times. And it was still, you missed 13 completions, like the ugly red zone interception. Talk about an ugly red zone. Spencer Rattler didn't throw one. Bo Nix did throw an ugly red zone interception. So I'm not in love with Denver. Yeah, they claw back to 2-2, but I'm not. My arrow isn't pointed nearly as high as like a Chiefs clawing back to 2-2, or even like the Bears clawing back to 2-2. because it felt like there was more expectations for the Broncos to start, and it just didn't get there.
Do you feel that the Bengals, now that they're 0-2 since starting,
Yeah, Browning
Jake
looked like
Browning,
shit.
are they
It looked
screwed?
like it looked like shit. I don't think
I
the
mean, it's
Bengals
not
are
even working with Chase and company, which is
no, and
weird
that's what
because
they got to
it
get.
was.
They got to get aggressive. I think the move is Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. I think the move is in New York. I don't think it's Kirk Cousins. They don't have to worry about Joe Burrow's stature as the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. I think they got to go get aggressive. Maybe it's Marcus Mariota. Maybe it's I don't know who they go. Maybe they call the Chiefs and they go get Gardner Minshew. But they've got to get someone who can confidently get the ball to those guys, because Dan, it was just inaccurate. There was a lot of inaccurate, like the balls were floating. Like they never even gave him a chance. Like Jake Browning was floating a bunch and it just looked bad. Like, and I know he's played well for them, but eventually coaches get enough tape where it's just like, we're going to force the pressure. Chase Brown's not doing enough on the ground to cause us to fear anything. This Bengals team, I don't think they're going to do it because there's just not their ownership and the way they work. But if I was a Bengals fan, I would be pounding every day on the sports talk radio, on the Twitter, whatever you could do. Make a move, make a move, make a move, make a move, make a move. Or at least go make a move for like a young player who then maybe has some upside to trade, right? Like, this is why you always draft a young rookie,
like a
quarterback,
Jake Haener from the Saints, or
like this is why you draft a rookie quarterback every year. So
Gabriel.
Yeah, I don't know. Go get Shador, and then he plays really well, and you could offload him for something else. But that's getting really wild. But they have the weapons. They got to get him the weapons. And I know that the Bengals offensive line look bad. If you go on Twitter, it's look, how can anyone make a throw behind this?
Yeah,
Jake Browning certainly can't make the throws, so maybe try to find someone else.
Yeah, no, that's
they already flexed. They flexed the Bengals game, didn't they? They flexed like Bengals Saints, the noon. Right. Like they're bearing some games, which they should.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Really unfortunate there, and the fact that they're not going to get Burrow till December, it may not matter, and we may not see Burrow again this year if they're not even close to being in contention. Wild week 4, a lot of injuries, unfortunately, but a lot of other wild wins on top of it. So another interesting week in the books. We'll be back here next week to recap week 5. But until then, check out all the other shows on For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network. Check us out at forfantasysakeqc.com, the flagship show here. Tune in every Sunday. You'll be seeing yours truly hosting one of the shows in the upcoming weeks, sometime in October, I think 2 weeks from now. So check that out, answering your fantasy questions an hour before the games kick off. But until next week, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you then to talk about week 5.